Welcome to Traders Consigliere Weekly Analysis. So, before the start of the week, we look at fundamentals and technicals for the upcoming week to identify potential trades. So, before we start, we look at the fundamentals from the previous week and then look at the upcoming week. So, from the previous week, we had a lot of heavy fundamentals from the previous week. On Monday last week, we had Governor Bailey speak for the Bank of England. No major comments made. On Tuesday, we had claim and count change, which is the unemployment benefits claimed, right? Related benefits. And if you look at the number has gone up by a lot, in fact. If you look at the previous month and this data, the data is quite high. And this shows that the rate hikes have been working. Therefore, a lot of unemployment is going on. This is not a good thing for the people, right? The retail people. But in terms of economy, it's not a bad thing. It shows that the hikes are working. But average earnings have been going up as well. Still, this has to come in control in UK. On Wednesday, we had the heaviest news, right? We had CPI. So CPI dropped lower than forecast and the previous month, right? It dropped by 1%. And especially the core CPI, which has been extremely stubborn. If you look at the number, quite stubborn, right? And it finally dropped to 0.2%, a big drop, in fact, half, right? So this is what shocked the market last week. And if you do look at the CPI data, the biggest contributor for this drop was the used car and trucks. If you look at the previous month and the current month, you see there was a massive drop, and this was the main data that dropped CPI. But from my own bias and technicals, looking at the CPI data, it may be that Powell is the best central banker to ever exist, or there is something fishy going on with the statistics, because the basket of goods for CPI data was usually measured on 2 years basis. So it's been changed to 1 year basis this year, and I've been looking. We saw a lot of manipulation with the energy sector, which happened with oil, but data, the market reacts to current data, right? So from the current data, we did see the market react negatively for the US dollar sentiment, right? So this is negative for the US dollar. On Thursday, we had GDP come out for the British pound. British pound GDP dropped, in fact increased, increased by the forecast, but dropped from the previous month, right? So it's not a bad thing still, because this is a result of the rate hike. GDP will contract, it will go into the negative. We had PPI, producer price index, also the inflation faced by the producers. This has dropped as well, right? A lot of negative US dollar sentiment, which is reflected on the charts, which we will look at in a minute. And we had preliminary University of Michigan's consumer sentiment, which came out at 72.6. Still, the consumer sentiment is a bit high over there. So for the upcoming week, on Monday we had a bank holiday with the Japanese yen. So if you're trading any pair with Japanese yen in it, do not trade, I would suggest, because the volatility would be low. We have Empire State Manufacturing Index, important number to keep an eye on. This is the New York State, right, manufacturing index. On Tuesday, we have core retail sales and retail sales. This number is important. The retail sales is forecasted to come in higher, right? So this will be important to see. The reason why it will be because US dollars is getting cheaper, right? If it gets cheaper, more sales in the retail space. So that's what's happening here. On Wednesday, CPI for the British pound. This is gonna be interesting. It's projected to drop by 0.5%. So this will be important. Depending on the forecast and the actual result, this can shake up the British pound instruments, right? And unemployment claims on Thursday, Philly Fed Manufacturing Index, quite important. And retail sales with the British pound, right? So let's look at the technicals now. Let's look at the dollar index first, because this was quite important. We saw a very quite important move that happened last week. Let's look at the weekly first, actually. So on the weekly, finally on the weekly, the support at 101 has given up, right? So 101 support has held since 2023, the start of 2023. It's been around that range for a very long time, and eventually after a few months, it's finally broken through with that data that came out. So on the daily, if you do see, the break happened, and at the moment I think we'll see a bit of a retracement, which would give a retracement to the other pairs which had this momentum come in. So we are now finally, I would say, bearish on the dollar. I had been bullish on the dollar fundamentally, but now I am bearish because the technicals also align with the fundamentals at the moment. So I still remain bearish. So depending on that, the highest probability trades would be where US dollar is weak and the opposite instrument is stronger. So let's look at British pound, US dollar first. Let's look at the weekly time frame here, and if you notice this weekly time frame, supply zone has been drawn out since the past few weeks, and eventually we see price come in here. And if you go down to a lower time frame, so therefore weekly is bullish, right? So on the daily, we see price came into the demand zone and has now given us the first bearish candle, right? Showing that price may retrace. Let me delete this. This is an old marking. So price may retrace. So let's look at the 4-hour time frame. And on the 4-hour time frame, we do see a massive push occur right around this area here. But to be honest, I do not see the best opportunity at the moment. I want to see price come towards this area here, this demand zone at 1.26500. But I want to see what price does. I want to see if price can give me that retracement from here, come towards here, and then give us a new structure that shows me a shift of structure that I can take longs. But till I get a confirmation, I wouldn't aggressively pursue this pair till now. Yeah. So yeah, we do see the slowdown on the lower time frame as well, right? So let's see how this develops, because if this drops, this shows that the dollar index gets stronger, right, with a little bit of retracement. So this is possibly a retracement on this pair as well. So let's look at British pound, Japanese yen. Let's start with the weekly. The weekly, it's bullish as well, right? We're looking to take longs only, but it's done what I mentioned. It's hit that supply zone that I've drawn out from the past few weeks. It's finally hit it. You see how the momentum has slowed down, and if you go down to the daily time frame, you can clearly see it went into the zone, and see how the candle's body gets smaller and smaller. The momentum keeps dying off. We got that push right to the downside. We got that push, and at the moment we see that the structure broke through, and we see a retest happen, right? So possibly we can get another leg downwards towards around this area here. So similar to GU, right? I want to see if price can come around here at 175, and I want to see how price reacts around this area, right? If I can get the same kind of move with GU, possibly I may take longs, right? So I want to see price come through here and then give me a certain higher low, and then possibly I may take longs. So obviously stay updated, join the free Telegram group. Link is in the description. So let's look at gold. Gold has been choppy, right? Very choppy. And if you do look at the pair, you see how price has dropped, and we got this bullish move here. But even though with this bullish move, structure technically still remains bearish. If you look at the daily time frame, we do have somewhat of an inverted head and shoulders. If you do see, right, right there, and price broke through it. Possibly a retest can come through here, but I just do not like it. It's quite in a very choppy range, which it was previously in, and I do not like that price did not drop. Like if you look at the slowdown of the zone here, this area there, that tells you that we hit a supply zone, right, on the 4-hour, which I had marked off in the previous week. But if you look at the demand zone, the supply zone on a bigger time frame, you would see it's over here. Sorry, right there. You see how price has slowed down at the demand zone, and now we are starting to get the retracement happen, right? So technically I would still not trade this pair yet. I want to see some more of a break around this area and a better cleaner trending move. So stay updated with gold in the group. Let's look at SPX. Let me delete these older markings. So let's look at the weekly time frame first. Very bullish, very bullish. We got a nice push on SPX, very bullish, right? And on the daily time frame, the same thing has happened. Is blown through the demand zone, which it retested and gave us the retracement, which happened. This we got a move here in the group, if you remember, if you guys remember. So let me delete the zone. Let me delete the whole thing, and now we see a bullish move, right? Possibly we can get a retracement happen here, because it's hit a demand zone, right? A supply zone. Let me actually go down to a lower time frame and double check. So yep, we have hit a supply zone here previously, but personally I wouldn't take a counter trend trade, right? I want to just take long. So personally I would wait to see if price can give me a retest at the demand zone, right? So from what I see here, I don't see a clear demand zone that would make sense for me to take a trade off personally. So personally I would wait, right? I want to see what price does. If price can again retrace towards here at 4350 around this area, then possibly I want to see how price reacts here. So a reaction here would make more sense, and then possibly I may take a trade. But at the moment I do not really see a really high probability trade, to be honest. So let's look at NAS100, NASDAQ. So NASDAQ on the weekly time frame, just like the SPX, bullish. Daily remains bullish, also like SPX, giving us a retracement. And we do see prices at the daily demand zone that are drawn out. If you look towards the left, price has filled out that gap in the market pretty much, right? And I do think the gap is not perfectly filled out. So I do think price still would travel up and hit this zone properly, and then give us a bigger reaction around the zone. So I think price will retrace and then push up, right? So if price does something like retrace somewhere around here, and then goes up here, and then gives us certain reactions, that we can possibly take a counter trend trade. Or if price does retrace all the way, hits this zone here at 1500, 1565, let's call it, around that area, and we can get a confirmation, we will take a long position. So a short position here would be a counter trend trade, a long position would be a with the trend, right? So I would again wait for this pair is not ready yet. So let's look at US30. US30, in my opinion, there's no trades to be taken. It's been in heavy consolidation for a lot of weeks, like since start of June, a lot of consolidation. In fact, all the way through from April, right? Heavy consolidation. So let's look at the daily time frame. Daily also remains in consolidation. So I personally wouldn't trade this pair at all. I want to see a break and a nice trending move happen before we start taking trades on this, right? So for this week, I would suggest to be updated with the entry points, and if I'm going to be taking the trade, better join the group, because at the moment most of these pairs are not completely ready, right, for a proper trade. So join the free Telegram group in the description, and until next time.